Joanna, normally we record things a little bit ahead of time, which means that there will be an answer to the election by the time this goes up.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm time traveling right now then.
So what are some sort of statements that you want to boldly proclaim now that people can come to?
I just want to say for myself, I'm not going to let this make or break my life. It's kind of like in contrast to like previous elections where I've almost felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders. The wisdom of time passing has taught me that only a limited amount of things are under my control. And at this point, I can do what I can do. And I can't control people or the electoral process of the United States of America. So I kind of throw my hands up and say, hopefully it's good news.
My future-proof statement is just simply, the hell happened last night?
What the hell happened last night? Nothing of note.
Kris and Joanna are close friends with nothing in common. To start a weekly conversation, they ask, can I have a word?
What a year. The Venezuelan elections, the U.S. elections, Taylor Swift.
Had elections
For Time Person of the Year.
Oh, I guess that did happen, I suppose.
You got Nobel Prizes. You got, 2024 has been...
Nobel Prizes? Nobel?
Isn't it pronounced Nobel?
Yeah, I've always heard it as Nobel Peace Prize.
The Nobel... I think there's two ways of saying it, Kris.
Any reward can just be a Nobel Award. A Nobel.
Are you sure? Am I have always said Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, I'm also telling you, I don't know half the words that come out of my mouth, so I might be wrong. Sometimes I'll just say words.
I think this podcast is a discovery in how much you and I are just constantly winging it when we speak.
You know what I kind of want to happen one day?
What?
I have a word on Can I Have a Word that both of us don't know the meaning of, and we just have to craft a conversation around it.
I mean, it's whatever the gods of wisdom that are randomwordgenerator.com give us.
Okay, well, why don't we just get to it, Kris?
Give me the prompt, I'll click the button.
Can I have a word?
Beep boop.
Beep beep boop.
Accommodate.
Oh, I don't know that word. I've never heard of it.
Wait, really?
No, I'm fucking with you. Of course I know.
Good,
Kris, come on.
I'm very gullible is the problem.
I think you've grown more gullible as time has passed. I think it's because you're more isolated from people.
I exist in my Jersey island up here at the top, and I don't get to talk to people a whole lot. So if somebody tells me the sky's turned green, I go, oh, cool.
You're like the New Jersey Rapunzel.
Yeah. The New Jersey Rapunzel. I don't know that I fit Rapunzel exactly, but it is dirty and dank up here, and I do want to leave.
I love that. Oh, Kris, you know you're Disney princess, and honestly, that's all that matters.
So accommodate.
Okay.
Accommodate.
The first thing that pops into my head is hotel and how, they say we have accommodations, which I think is an incorrect word. I want to officially put a complaint out there to the English language. I don't think that hotels accommodate you. Accommodate feels like, I guess I'll make some sacrifices to make this work for you. That's an accommodation.
You believe an accommodation requires a sacrifice of sorts in order to be realized, not that they could anticipate your needs and give them to you wholesale.
Yeah, like maybe a motel off the turnpike will accommodate you, but a 5-star hotel isn't going to accommodate you. You're going to be their guest.
I see. So in your interpretation, you accommodate me letting me sleep on a couch, but a hotel does not accommodate me by taking my money to give me a business.
Okay, you didn't sleep on a couch. You slept on a single...
I wasn't actually discussing our thing. I was very happy to have the bed.
Yeah,
we discussed on the show before how you have a tiny bed that you put a large person in, and I wasn't holding it against you.
Okay, but I did accommodate you. I wasn't a hotel.
Yes, and my body accommodated my soul by shoving me into that box.
It was a trial for your death. It was like a little coffin. So, I don't like the word accommodation very much, and I genuinely don't even like the word accommodate. Like, oh, we'll accommodate that. It just feels like there's no joy in that word. There's no joy in the word accommodate.
I see. It's sort of like by saying that I am accommodating something, I'm sort of admitting that I'm being put out. in your head. It's like,
yeah,
there's like a negativity that says, well, this was a weight I needed to carry.
Let's pretend I'm a customer service agent and you're trying to rent a car. Okay? Go.
Yeah. Hi there. I need a car for next Saturday.
Let me check. Yeah, I think we can accommodate that. Okay, now let's try it again.
Hi, I need a car for Saturday.
Kind sir, I am happy to get you a car for next Saturday. I'm sure we can figure something out and that you will be happy with whatever car we get you, because our job is
Can
to
I
give
tell
you
you
a car.
something? I don't trust the second person. The second person makes it feel like they're having too much joy out of the work, like they're kind of putting on a front, and it makes me think I'm getting scammed. What I like to feel legitimacy is I like sterile language.
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Are you kidding me?
Clean cut. I am here to do my job, and you are getting what you need, and there's no rigmarole involved.
Maybe this is where our cultural differences show up, because even Latin American doctors sugarcoat everything.
Wait, how does that go?
Let's just say you're a patient. I'll be the doctor.
Okay, yeah.
A Venezuelan doctor, for example, would be like, oh my God, Kris, how are you?
I've been doing better, I suppose. I'm having a little bit of stomach cramping.
Stomach cramp. You know who used to have stomach cramping?
Who?
Your mom. How's your mom?
She's fine. Yeah, she's fine.
I love that mom of yours. Tell her I say hi and tell her that, hey, my door's open for whenever.
Well,
so
wonderful.
Yes, your stomach is hurting you, right?
Yeah, lots of cramps, lots of pain, maybe like a little bit like bloating or something. It's been going on for weeks.
It's been going on for weeks. Okay, well, there is a very, very severe bug going around. It actually kills 30% of the people that get it, this parasite, and everything that you're saying sort of are the same symptoms of this parasite. But honestly, I don't think it's that. Let's be real. I mean, look at you. You look great. You're a happy guy. Everything's going to be fine. You know what I mean?
Is there like an instrument or a test that we can do to sort of like verify that?
Yeah, we're going to do a test. We're going to shove an enormous needle up your ass, but you're not even going to feel it, my friend, because we're going to be partying it up here. Anyway, do you want to come to my daughter's wedding next week? I mean, we have.
Is that where I'm going to get the needle in the ass?
You know what? If it's distracting enough, maybe we'll do it there. How about that? How about that? That is how doctors are.
You're sort of saying, though, that like it's nice to be friendly and that every conversation is worthy of your mental bandwidth to like contribute to it in some way.
Maybe I'm expanding this to something that is more grandiose than what it is.
It's fine. We got an hour to fill.
I do think that the word accommodate is a deeply American word. It is a word that is transactional, and it is a word that a robot would say to another robot to like accommodate something. I'm going to look for I can't even think of the translation for accommodate. Accommodate in Spanish. Acomodar. That's not a direct translation.
What is it? What is that word actually?
Like, me quiero acomodar. I want to get comfortable. So it's like, to get comfortable. Like acomodar, to fix.
Oh, see, even that translation offers a friendlier interpretation of it because it's like, settle in, unwind a little. Whereas like, accommodate very much is a word meant to be like, you are getting what is required no matter the cost.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's one of the reasons. I think this is where my identity comes out a little bit in language. I very rarely like words that are so transactional, especially when it comes to stuff like a hotel.
A place where I need to rest, and so I give them money in exchange for a bet. A transaction, in other words.
But I don't want to think about it that way. You know what?
Why don't you want to think about it that way? So that's the part that's interesting to me, because my ability to judge what I'm getting out of it greatly differs based on whether a friend is helping me out or it's like someone's like going out of their way versus a place that I gave them my money. I have a higher expectation of what I can expect. I like having the difference in order to be clear about like how should I be interpreting it and executing my criticism.
Okay, that was a lot of words, but
I think what you're even sort of seeing is that sometimes Kris likes to talk like a lawyer.
I honestly zoned out halfway in there. I will give you this. I'll give you this. I'm going to give you the following.
Yes.
When I have to deal with customer service on the phone, even when it's a Latin American brand like a Colombia's airline or Panama's airline. Can you notice I've used these airlines in the past? Even though they're majority like Spanish speaking, the company is a Spanish speaking company. I've made the mistake enough times of going the Spanish language route. Mm-hmm. I've given up, and now I just pretend I don't speak Spanish and I press 2 Oprime dos para español. Oprime, oprime, whatever.
Yeah,
I always
right.
go with the English because it's so much more surgical and precise.
You have told me this before about language. When you want to be plan logistics and get something done, you do it in English. But if you are feeling passionate about something, you want to be in Spanish.
Yeah, and passion. If I feel passionate about something where I don't need to make a very concise point, it's Spanish. Like, you know what I mean?
You can be fuming, you could be raving, and that all fits better in Spanish versus if you need to figure out where we're going for dinner, English becomes like a contract language you can use.
Yeah, like, okay, oh, fuck. You're going to say that is more of a release than coño de la puta madre, no joda, que rechera.
I mean, it's a shorter breath to say, oh, fuck.
It's more efficient.
You're
it's
like
always
really,
more efficient.
you're like working out your diaphragm to like get all of that one out. I admit it has a lyrical roller coaster feel to it.
It is a beautiful lyrical roller coaster. Wait, I wanna pretend I'm a customer service agent in Spanish, but in English with you, and I want you to call me and pretend that you're trying to book a one-way ticket.
I can tell you've had a lot of boring calls today because you really want to be performative in this.
I want to be so I want to improv everything. Okay, go.
You would normally answer because I called. Ring, ring.
Bueno, I'm sorry. I was going to say it in Spanish. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Cecilia. It is a pleasure to say hello to you this fine evening. With whom do I have the absolute pleasure of speaking with today?
Chris Knight.
How are you, Mr. Chris Knight? Is everything okay? Are you doing well?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
How can I help you today? It is my job to help you and to help whatever you need in this day and in the days coming.
I just need a flight out to Vegas next month.
You need a flight out to Vegas, out to Vegas.
Yeah, I'm looking somewhere in the range of like a few days before or after Thanksgiving.
Or so when you say a few days before Thanksgiving, are you saying 2 to 3 days before Thanksgiving? Are you saying 4 to 5 days before Thanksgiving? Are you saying 6 to 7 days before Thanksgiving? And then do you have the same flexibility on the other days, or do you want? My question is sort of, do you have a date? Can you give me a date, and then we can maybe work around that date?
Wait, I've lost the plot a little bit. Are you translating Spanish to English, or is this how you experience the English? Thank you. That's fucking awful.
I also, Colombians in particular, like when I called Avianca, I was like, am I the dumbest person alive? Or is this person speaking in riddles? Like I could not understand what they were like. Well, today, the day of all days, if you plan 2 days before, then that is 2 days before. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, you're like every phone call becomes a Seussical the musical.
Which I usually love.
But it does make sense to me that you would enjoy a more familiar business transaction. You get along with anybody and make friends. Every restaurant we go to, you make friends with waitstaff like instantly, and you are just that sort of person. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it is cultural, but maybe also it is personal that you don't like sterile language.
You're right. Well, I had this like very deep conversation. Okay, I signed up for a podcast that I didn't know what it was. And I just said yes. And then when
Do you want to name the podcast here?
I think it was called God, actually.
And you thought you were going to have lighthearted discussion?
I didn't even look at it was like a friend of ours, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I think it might be called The Meaning of Life, actually. Okay. And I didn't plan for it, and it was like right after I got diagnosed with skin cancer. It was like literally the afternoon. Like the morning I got diagnosed with skin cancer, and then I was like, fuck, I have this podcast. And I log onto the podcast, and he was like, do you know what this podcast is about? And I'm like, I mean, he's a comedian, so I was like, I don't know, riffing and like butts, like I don't know. And he was like,
the usual.
It's about the meaning of life. The meaning of life. Good. Think about anything more serious than that. Like, okay, maybe like war, okay, but like,
I mean, it all circles back to this one crucial question:
the meaning of life.
And you're coming to it on a day where you feel your mortality challenged.
It was just like so intense. And then and through this like podcast that is like out there, I think
somebody in the comments will have found it and dug it up.
I like came to the conclusion that the meaning of life for me is people.
Oh,
like take me to a beautiful waterfall and like the most iconic nature spot in the world where people feel like that nature is the church of the earth. And I'm like, this is beautiful, but I do not find meaning here.
Sure,
I'm like, give me an umbrella and a nice little car out of here, baby. Like, give me 10 minutes.
Out of nowhere.
Give me 10 minutes with the waterfall and I'm okay, I don't need more time with this waterfall, baby. I don't want more time with the waterfall. Get me to the restaurant of the hotel.
Are you seducing the waterfall right now?
No, I'm kind of showing the waterfall that I know the waterfall thinks it's all that, but to like check itself a little bit.
You're big dogging Mother Nature in that moment.
It's like fucking chill. Like, yeah, you are. It's like when I see Brad Pitt and people are like, that's the hottest man. And I'm like, of course, I can appreciate this man is beautiful. Is he for me? No. That's how I feel about a lot of nature.
Give me a quieter, sort of stringier gentleman, and then I think that'll be for me.
Give me a man that looks like he had a rough time with teenagehood and had to grow a personality, and that's the type of man I like. So for me, I find meaning in my, like, even the smallest interactions with people. Like, when I'm able to connect with someone that I have nothing in common with and I might never see again in, I don't know, an airport bar, I like remember that person and I find meaning there, you know?
That is beautiful.
Thank you. I find more meaning in a Chili's of an airport than I do with a majestic waterfall, which I think I need to like do some soul searching about, but I don't know. Where do you find meaning?
In life? Boy. I find the meaning and joy to be in what I leave behind. So the idea of legacy, but less like grandiose than that. Just more, how do people remember me? How do people view me? What will be the stories people will tell of me one day?
Okay, so you find meaning in the retrospect of you after being dead?
Yeah, in the moment, I'm just kind of like... I'm not thinking. I'm a little bit on autopilot in the moment. No, I guess I mean by that my mentality about like how I navigate being quote unquote a good person or not has everything to do with what will people be left behind with in this conversation, or in this like experience of being my neighbor, or in this time that we worked together. And I try to stay like authentic to myself, but I am through that lens of like how I navigate thinking about like what do people come away from me with, and that to me is like a guiding principle of like what life is sort of about, is like leaving things better than what you started it with.
Okay, wow. I'm trying to pivot into a joke, and I kind of can't. I don't know.
Can't fucking do it.
Wow.
It's not all Chili's and waterfalls over here.
Imagine a waterfall in a Chili's. Well, that's a rainforest cafe.
I mean, that is a rainforest cafe. I'll tell you something. Restaurants make me realize the way that accommodate is featured in my life, which is in the Midwest, growing up, it is very common when making plans with people that no one will express what they actually want, but will rather give you options so that you can pick what you want. A great example of this is like, you and I'm like a Midwest parent, and you just want to figure out where we're going for dinner.
Am I a kid?
You're back home from college and you're with your dad.
Okay. Hey, Daddy.
Don't like that runner, but okay. We're never gonna not call each other mommy and daddy. Go.
Oh, God, I'm getting kind of hungry. Do you wanna go grab something to eat?
Sure. Yeah, I suppose we could go to we could do Italian. There's a taco place down the street, or we could go to that steakhouse.
Yeah, I mean, all sound good. What are you in the mood for?
Well, the Italian, I get the lasagna or the breadsticks maybe or something. But if we have tacos, I could get an al pastor.
Okay, but which one would you prefer out of those? Because it seems like it's either Italian or Mexican, but like what?
Well, no, I mean, no, there's also burgers. I mean, there's a great burger place down the street. They just opened up. So it's whatever you decide, please.
I just want to make you happy. It's your birthday, and
but that struggle is absolutely real, which is like you can't ever get them to just make a simple choice that isn't in consideration of, well, what do you want? You're the one who prompted all of this, so it's up to you, I suppose. And then the back end of that is that whatever you land on, they never celebrate. It's like, great idea, gonna have lots of fun. Instead, it's gonna be like, yeah, I suppose that'll be fine.
So it's just like the weight of making choices is too big for anyone in the Midwest.
They are constantly in a world where their like default is accommodating to you, but passive aggressively reserving judgment if the right one didn't get picked.
Oh my God. Do you realize why we have such different feelings towards accommodate? Because you grew up in an environment of accommodation. And I just don't know that word.
I feel like your life experience is so much of individuals knowing what they want and like expressing it to you, and like the battles can come from like where those conflict. And mine is constantly decoding, what does anybody here want right now?
Oh my God. You are in a escape room of people constantly trying to.
Yes.
You're in like a little puzzle. That's why you like puzzles so much. Because your life has been a puzzle.
But it is aggravating. And I don't know that I grew up being a person that felt like I had to accommodate people too much. I would tell you what I wanted. And then I think I generated this reputation of being a little abrasive or a little too forward. And it's like, well, I'm just not here playing this stupid game, everybody. I got wants, I got needs, I'll tell you.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're someone that's like, if you really want something, you're going to say it.
Yeah, totally. But at the same time, my Midwest shows up in that, like, if it's not what the general consensus wants, I'm happy to follow along.
Yeah. You're not like, you're not annoying in that way. But I do feel like that's something that's kind of exhausting about new friends and new friendships.
Oh, yeah.
Is that you're still like on the demo version of yourself. Like, and the demo version before you pay is always like, there's no bugs. It's just like, oh my God, this makes my life easier. And then it's like, no, this is actually $20 a month, and half the time you won't use it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Your best foot comes forward at the top, and then once they're kind of locked in, then you start letting the shaggy shit show up.
Yeah, so that's how I feel with my new friends. And I have a lot of new friends in LA. I'm in this constant, like, slowly, like, sprinkling in a little bit more of me.
What do you think you are holding back upon initial interactions?
I don't think I think about things before I say things very often. So like when I'm with a friend that I'm very close to, I'll be like, okay, if you hate this, then say fuck you, Joanna, but I really want Shake Shack. But that, like, you can't say that to someone you've met twice. You can't be like, fuck you. Like, you can say that I can go fuck myself if you don't want this, but I really want this one thing. Like, that's a weird thing to say to someone that you're still on demo version Joanna with.
You don't know how much they value the decision or not. Like, you know, some people don't care where they go out to eat, or some people don't care what they're doing with an evening. They just rather spend time with the person, and it's okay to default. But if that person does really care, or like, God forbid you find out they have a dietary restriction you didn't know about or anything like that, now you're the asshole for deciding.
Oh, I have a friend I have two friends I want to talk about. This first friend, she's very accommodating and doesn't say shit at all. And I know this about her now, but when I met her 6 years ago, I didn't know this about her. She had like a surgery, so I sent her like a huge like cheese and charcuterie plate, and then I brought her bagels one other day on another time, and I did this and I did that, and then I got her like a spa certificate for her.
These are all very generous. Whatever.
This is so nice. 4 years in, we're like ordering for the table, and she's like, oh, I can't have this. I'm like very lactose intolerant. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, I'm lactose intolerant. And I was like, since when? And she's like, oh, since I was a kid, I like cannot have any cheese. And in my head, I went through every single moment that I just like forced her to eat cheese, or she would
just
like
stacks on stacks on
of
stacks.
cheese. And then like later in the conversation, she's like, oh, I fucking hate spas. I can't stand massages. Like, I can't do. And I was like freaking out, right? And I didn't say anything because I was like, maybe she's forgotten about this, and maybe she listens to this podcast and she'll call me after this. So that's one friend that I was like, okay, she accommodated too much. I wish she was more honest with me.
You know what that made me think of really fast? The idea of having to give a gift to someone that you don't like know inside and out.
Oh, it's so hard.
It's awful. It's like, okay, what is this generic? Because I'm a person that like, I don't buy something unless I have like an intent for it. I don't like just like a gift for a gift's sake.
You don't dilly-dally gifts. You do not dilly-dally gifts.
My partner and I don't even buy each other gifts because we're just people that buy things when we want it. So it's like, why would I waste our time? You don't have to pretend. I don't have to do the hard work. We're fine. So like having to come up with like, I don't know, do they want a sweater? Am I going to offend them because I picked the wrong size? Or, you know, all this stuff. That is exactly what you made me think of when describing the horror of like, here, load up on this cheese that will make your gut explode, and I didn't know.
Which... I feel bad. I feel so bad. Anyway, so that's one friend.
I'm sure their neighbor got a lot of good cheese.
God, I'm like, I still like dream. You know, when you like can't fall asleep when you think about embarrassing moments, I think about that conversation all the time.
I think about the time that I was a PA on a documentary and a very professional black woman interviewed me on the set because they just need people to interview, and asked me, what does gentrification mean to me? And I didn't know the word. at the time because I had just moved from Indiana. And so I just made something up in front of this very professional, real person who's probably experienced hardship as a result of this word. And I was completely ignorant to it. I think about that shit once a week.
I'm sure she is on a podcast right now talking about how she purposely wanted to haze a little intern and made him the most uncomfortable question in a documentary. I think
Miserable.
That's what I think happened.
Miserable. Anyway, friend 2.
So my friend 2, I know for a fact she listens to this podcast.
Great. I can't wait.
This friend does not hesitate to tell you exactly what she wants, and if you pitch her something that she is on board, like not on board with, she will be like, fuck off, absolutely not. It is actually quite refreshing, but at the beginning, like, I'm someone that makes plans and I like sort of taking control, and at the beginning I was like, I don't know how to handle her, and then I'm like, oh, I just don't do anything, and that's it.
She will give it to you.
I tried to plan a lunch, and like she didn't like the restaurant, and then I found another restaurant, and then she didn't like the time, and then I was like, you know what, you plan it and I'll just show up,
because you're the one who doesn't care,
because I know what I'm getting. As long as I know what the other person's shtick is, I can accommodate. But it's the not knowing. It's like, I don't know what type of person you are. You're going to pretend you like cheese for 6 years of your life when it actually destroys your bowels? Bro.
You need someone who shoves away all their concern and just says, it's this.
I've started to realize I am that person a little bit sometimes. I've been trying to be less so. Like, my husband is someone who will always put other people's desires in front of him. Like, that's his nature. He's just
totally.
I'll go to my least favorite restaurant if one other person wants to go. And I'm just like kind of not like that.
I believe sometimes when you and I figure out where we want to hang out, I can recommend a thing or two and you will say something along the lines of, I guess I would if I was a little bitch. If I was a little bitch, I would. I'm like, okay, Joanna, so I guess you pick it.
Okay, this is you. Why don't we go to the Olive Garden in Times Square?
Said that ironically. Ironically, and the time you went ironically wasn't even with me.
Oh, yeah, you weren't there.
You went with other people, and I'm like, I'm your white trash friend that's supposed to go to chain restaurants.
Okay, let's make a pact.
All right, I'll see you in the Olive Garden in Times Square in 2025.
2025, we'll get the breadsticks, we'll get the oversalted everything.
You'll get the bland fettuccine Alfredo.
We will get the stomach virus that the Venezuelan doctor was asking you about at the beginning of this podcast.
You don't take a tour through Times Square as a tourist and go to that Olive Garden and not get norovirus.
No, it's actually part of the experience. They include it in the big buses. They actually...
You think you're cleaning your hands, but you're just getting a dose of all the filth the city has to offer you.
It's beautiful, honestly. It's the New York experience, baby.
As I said it out loud, I realized that me telling the little bitch line might be me parting the curtain a little too much. I might actually be exposing everyone else to how you talk to just me. But when you get to know friends, you get more comfortable saying outrageous things.
I've said shit to you that is absolutely insane. That I'm like, I would never say this to anyone or to my friends.
Yeah. You know, one way that shows up is that when we have something traumatic going on in our lives, you and I have a habit of not saying anything nice to one another at all. And I will be the first one to admit what I did, which was when you told me about your skin cancer, and specifically when you showed me the photo of them having removed it, the first thing I said to you was that it looked like you had a Pizza Hut personal pan pizza in your face.
But I like that.
It's perfect for you and me. But then I tell my dad that I did that joke, and he thinks that he raised me wrong.
I know, but like, I do realize in life that I am the type of person that when really bad shit happens, like, I need some humor, or like, I want my friends to bully me. I'd rather my friends bully me than they tell me they love me and that they'll always be there to support me, because that'll make me cry. If they make fun of me, I'm like, okay, like, you're telling me you love me in a way that it does not make me emotional.
It is communicating honesty in a way where it's like, I'll say the quiet part out loud right now because of my love and respect for you, that I will insult what your present and future face is going to look like.
I'm going to, yeah, I mean, but it's like you were stating the obvious.
I was stating the obvious. It did look massive.
It was like 5 inches of just like as if a zombie had bitten my cheek off.
You wouldn't even send me the photo of it. You flashed it on your phone and then you're like, it's hidden from the world. I don't ever want it to exist on the internet.
Well, now I don't care as much because now I'm like, okay. But in the moment I was like, I might be disfigured for the rest of my life. I don't like this.
Yeah,
Call me
totally
crazy, but I don't love this.
Yeah, but no, I think it's a way of being sincere with people that comes through a long time being together. You can't spring that sort of humor on people 3 months into knowing them.
No, and that's something I'm sort of having a little bit of trouble navigating. I feel like I'm very warm, but I also have a very dark sense of humor, especially with people that I love the most. And when you get from demo version me to real me, it is a difference. It isn't like, oh, it's just slightly different. It's like, oh, wait, that's like a little bit more intense.
I also think there's like, you know, a lot of like weight to the idea that life kind of goes through chapters, and within those chapters you meet people that only know you for that chapter or haven't known your previous chapters. You know, you're experiencing it with being out in LA and making new friends. I experienced it moving out to the suburbs and then making like parent friends and whatever. It's not only the I don't know you so well, but it's also like, who am I now? Who am I in this space now? How much of myself am I tamping down versus a part of myself that's actually disappearing a little bit?
What part am I accommodating myself to fit in here?
Absolutely. It's like, what am I sacrificing in order to feel community?
Which I feel like I've sacrificed a lot of my cultural self here. I don't have a lot of family and I don't have a lot of Spanish speaking friends here.
Yeah.
And it's okay because I'm like, okay, I have other things that I feel fulfilled in my friendships with. But like that has been a big sacrifice. And not even just Spanish speaking friends from Venezuela, because it's different.
Totally. And to contextualize it, when you were in New York, I feel like I met the entire Venezuelan population of that city through you. Like we went to like an arepa restaurant in Astoria, Queens. You didn't know any of the people, but then you knew all of them because they were all Venezuelan and it, like all the dots connected and they were on fire the whole time.
Yeah, I don't have that here. So it's like, okay, well, I got to find a new niche. And I feel like my niche is comedy. Like I feel like my Venezuelanness and my love of comedy sort of are different parts of my heart, but they take the same amount of space. I've just leaned more deeply into the comedy element and like people that I can't, it's hard for me to be friends with people. And I have many friends that have zero sense of humor and I love them to death. But right now I'm like, I can't give that up at this moment.
Yeah.
You need a sense of humor, my friend, because if not, I'm dampening too much of myself.
If I can't have this one thing that felt so crucial to me, I do need this other. And if I'm giving up both of those, I'm giving up too much. And it's like, it's all like sunk cost time at that point. I'm not actually like getting something out.
I want to feel like a 5-star hotel where I'm like, welcome. I'm so glad you're here, guest, to my personality. I want you to bask in this and I am excited to share stuff with you like the sauna. But then with people that I can't see myself and vice versa. Because if I'm not being myself, I don't think they can.
Totally.
I'm like, now I feel like the Holiday Inn off the Turnpike, which I like Holiday Inns, by the way, but maybe this one off the Turnpike, bad management.
It's not the image I see in my head when I think my vessel as a hotel.
I don't want to think about myself in that way. Sometimes I am that way. I mean, maybe I'm the Holiday Inn that Snoop Dogg likes to sing about.
Sure, maybe.
That's the one I am with my friends.
I struggle with that a lot in like making parent friends because you don't come and show up to these people with like commonality necessarily. The only thing you have in common is that you all made hell spawns that are making your day nuts.
That's beautiful. Right.
And you're like,
is that enough? Is that enough?
Is that enough? The answer is often not. I'm not a person fluent in like sports. And so I don't have that in common with anybody, right? You know what I mean? I have so many interests that if I tell it to, let's just say a normie, I have to caveat with being like, oh yeah, I'm like really into board games. I know, it's weird.
I know. I don't kill people in my spare time too.
I promise. I'm not trying to be unrelatable. It just happens.
Yeah. No, I get it. I'm sometimes jealous of people, and I say the word basic not in a way that is derogatory, but that have basic interests.
Yes.
Like sports, mommies who are like mommy club mommies and all this stuff. And I really envy that. I do envy it because I think these people have a very easy way of connecting on a maybe potentially deeper level with people.
It's difficult to be a person that is so attracted to specificity. Like if I'm trying to talk to my dad about a show that I watch, it's like I have to couch it with so many statements to get to a place where he'll relate to it as a guy who only watches murder mystery shows on Investigation Discovery.
Oh my God, me and your dad can be best friends.
Love it. You'll have such a blast.
Love true crime. I'm a little basic. I like true crime and RuPaul's Drag Race.
It's okay to be a little basic.
Of course it is.
Where I struggle with it is that, like, I am not a person who does anything 50% or,
No.
I'm 0% or 100. So if it doesn't, like, grab me by the reins and drag me into a place where I'm obsessed about it, I kind of don't give it any bother. It makes me bad come, like, Oscar season because I'm like, I didn't really make a point to see many of them. I saw a couple.
Yeah, you really are all or nothing on everything.
I am all or nothing, and it makes it difficult to just be in common with people. I don't accommodate much.
You just, date obsessively different hobbies. Date.
I am constantly looking for love from every hobby, and I will settle for a good hobby fuck. I like this thread, though, about accommodating being like, oh, what do I, like, change about myself in order to, like, sort of fit in? Is there, like, a teenage thing that you did that is, like, so... We've talked about, like, the dressing and whatnot, but is there, like, feigned interest that you pretended to be into for the sake of, like, a boy or something?
Chris, my teenage self was a little bitch.
I'm glad it's in the Can I Have a Word lexicon now that you just call lots of things little bitches. I feel like it really opens us up.
I was always like a weirdo in the sense that, like, I really liked drama and I liked absurdist theater and, like, I read Christopher Durang. But then the moment I liked a boy, I wouldn't be dumb. I'd, like, try and show them, like, I care about intellect and I am, like, a weird girl. But like, not enough for me not to be attractive. So I, like, go to soccer games where they played and pretend I liked soccer. I pretended I liked partying, which I liked going to a party.
Sure.
I'm not a psychopath. I love parties. But, like, clubbing was... I just got addicted to clubbing, even though I, like, at 16. It was Venezuela. Even though,
but wait, did Venezuela have clubs that were for your age bracket, or were you sneaking into adult clubs?
Oh, Chris. Oh, Chrissy Pooch.
I'm assuming that's a stupid question.
We would have fake IDs at, like, 15.
That's amazing.
And everyone knew we were 15 and no one cared. People are getting kidnapped. The police aren't going to come here and crack down on 15-year-olds getting lit.
I asked that because growing up, there was a high school only dance club in my town.
That's fun.
No booze or whatever. You couldn't come in if you were over 21. It was like meant for like the 16 to 21. I, in attempting to relate to people, thought this was a place I would like to be.
Oh my
and
God.
I went several times. This is a very like pubescent, hormonal 15, 16-year-old Chris who was just like seeing people on a dance floor and seeing the specific sort of like, I guess we would call it now twerking, but like the idea of like the guy like standing against the wall and then there's just like a girl shaking her ass at his crotch.
I hate it.
And always just being like, how do I make that happen?
That's I have to say that is a uniquely American visual.
The grinding?
The grinding is a uniquely American visual.
I've always been curious who first pitched that as a thing to do at a public venue.
In Venezuela, no one grinded. People danced merengue, or they like danced in a group, or they danced salsa. Like there was no grinding happening.
Because you culturally have more artisanship in your dancing, whereas we're all the Henry Ford model of rinse, repeat. Go hammer it down,
I mean, I think everyone, when they're teenagers, are an amorphous version of who they are. I think that, like, I don't know of many teens.
Because you're figuring it out.
Yeah, like, I didn't know. It wasn't like...
You don't know
It
yet.
wasn't like, oh, I know who I am, and I'm going to pretend it's not. I was just like, I don't fucking know. I think I like this.
Maybe sometimes it's like easy to discredit how much of a mystery that time is. It's like the first time in life when you're like stop being handed things by your parents all the time to potentially be interested in. You can just like grab it yourself and see.
A fish doesn't know it's in water. It has no fucking idea. Like, you don't know what you are until you like start seeing yourself from different perspectives and situations.
You're trying on different outfits a little bit. You're like, maybe this one's a fit.
Yeah.
It's not accommodating to do that. Now, if you do that when you're 40,
I don't know many people in their like 30s and 40s that are like,
because you don't settle down with the riffraff.
That's not what I meant.
Well, I'll tell you the version of accommodating I can see most often out of some peers is that I have a couple of single friends who I would describe as like relationship tofu, where like when they are in a relationship, they sort of take on the interest of the other person as a means of feeling like, oh, great, we do all these things together, even if like their interests don't overlap. I think a lot of times media tells us that our partnerships, you have to be homogenous in what you do. And you don't. You can all have different shit going on.
You can have
don't
different
have to,
shit going on.
You don't have to make room for it.
No, you can vibe. I mean, Daniel doesn't love drag. He understands I'm obsessed with it. So I have my own little crew where I go to RuPaul drag events, so he doesn't have to accommodate. He can go and do whatever he wants to do.
I don't drag Alicia to any wrestling events.
Can you imagine?
I've taken her twice, so I made sure the first one I took her to was an event that was all women so that she would not feel any comfort in judging the performers at all. She's actually like, I just want to support every woman here is doing great. This is amazing. And then the second time I took her, there were plenty of men. She was like, that guy sucks shit. I can't stand this guy. This guy needs to get the hell out of here. Like, very opinionated. And I didn't stop taking her.
That was brilliant. That was a brilliant move.
How much would you accommodate to do something for me? Like, what is your bar of like, I won't do this thing that Kris loves to do with Kris?
I just want to say I've traveled to New Jersey several times for you, you little bitch. So I've done a lot.
You just came down public transit and I picked you up in a car. That wasn't like a huge sacrifice of self.
Well, it was just like I was also so hungover last time. Do you remember?
You were very hungover the last time. Yeah, that is a sacrifice you put on for me.
I was like dying pretty much. I don't know. I feel like I would go to wrestling. I would.
Well, because you would just have fun with the spectacle.
Yeah, I think maybe going to one of your really complicated board game nights where it's like there's an hour of rules. I can't. Yeah. I'm sorry. Like
I would take it a step further. You wouldn't even humor me explaining a complicated.
No,
board game
I don't
to
want you to. I just so boring. Absolutely. I would remember early in the conversation where I just
zoned out.
Yeah, that's what would happen. How about you? What's something that you would just not? You'd be like, sorry.
I mean, I think it would just be going past my own personal curfew. You could stay up very, very late. And eventually I have to say, I don't think I can do that anymore. I need to go to bed. It's 2:00.
I can stay up till any time.
Till the crack of dawn and then be like, let's go on a run.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I'm like, look at this. Does this look like it goes on a run?
I've seen some people running here in LA that I'm like, they look like they're barely alive and they're running.
That's good. That's the struggle. You're putting in the sweat equity.
Sweat equity. That's a great gym name. And bank.
A combination bank and gym. Oh, imagine. I love it when we come up with businesses at the end. Okay. The only way that you can withdraw money is if you watch a clerk count it in pennies while you work on a treadmill.
And money and exercise. That's it. Are we geniuses?
Well, it's not going to get better than that. I'm gonna hang up this call.
Yeah, I'm going to hang up this call too. But
what an outro.